I had just become director of urban design for the BRA. I had 17 architects and planners working for me. I had a secretary, I had an office, I had a couch. And I had a window that overlooked Quincy Market. And, I was charged with looking at design issues all over the city. And I'm sitting there in my office one day, and my secretary comes in and she says, "You have a call from the CEO of the Rough and Ready underwear company." And so I got on the phone, and sure enough, this woman answered, and she said, I would like to come see you because I think I have something that you might be interested in. And it's a little unusual, so I'd like to come in and show you in person what it is. So I said, sure. When would you like to come? She said, well, how about this afternoon? I said, that's fine. So she comes in, and she is the CEO of the Rough and Ready underwear company, which I wasn't exactly sure what the hell they did, but it didn't really matter because she had found a 40-foot high milk bottle that was selling ice cream in Taunton and had been abandoned. And she bought it for $2,500. And she said, could you think of any place that you would use this? And I said, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, we're sitting in a building that, I personally love, but most Boston people hate. And it's a sort of a brutalist building that's set in a vast, vacant, out-of-scale plaza, which is a sort of a brick no man's land. And I said, gee, this might work. Let's go to Taunton, take a look at the structure, and see if in fact it can be restored. So we go out to Taunton. It's an amazing structure, and it's in really incredible shape. I said, this is fabulous, and the perfect place for it is on City Hall Plaza, and the city is going to love it. And what we can do is we'll get. I'm trying to explain to the director of the BRA at the time that there's this building, which is a milk bottle, and I wanted to put it on City Hall Plaza. And in the meeting was a guy named Stuart Forbes. Stuart Forbes was a financial person at the BRA at the time, and happened to had a friend at Hood, and had this connection, and he would go to Hood, and did I have an idea of what this would cost to restore? And I said, well, this would cost around $25,000. And he came back and he said, Hood, if we can rename the bottle from the Sankey milk bottle to the Hood milk bottle, they would pay the $25,000. And the CEO of the Rough and Ready underwear company was willing to sell the bottle that she had bought on spec, for a very modest bump up in price, very modest. The BRA had a model of downtown Boston, and it showed the plaza, and it showed City Hall, showed everything. So I had the model shop build the model of the bottle, and I put it in my favorite place, which I thought everyone would love. Hood would donate the money to restore it and move it. And we would sell ice cream in the summer and hot chocolate in the winter. So everybody was thrilled. and it was okayed, and this somehow leaked out. And I got a call from Kathy Kane. And Kathy Kane, I still remember that, she says, "John, I hear you're up to no good." And since I was up to no good on many things, I said, "Well, Kathy, what are you talking about?" She said, "Well, I just got a call from Gerhard Kallman, who was one of the architects that designed City Hall. And he thought that this was disrespectful to the building, and that it had to be stopped at all costs." So I said, "Well, Kathy, I think this is really going to be great." And she said, "John, really, you cannot do this. You cannot go forward. The mayor's office will not support this." So I said, "Okay, I see the writing on the wall. I hear what you're saying." And I set out to find another out-of-scale area of the city that I thought could use this 40-foot high milk bottle. So my next victim was the parking garage in front of the aquarium. No one liked it. And I go down there for a public hearing. Now, I've been a planner for a long time, so I've been in a lot of tense situations with angry people going to community meetings and being very upset. I've been at community meetings where people carried guns and to intimidate you. I've been all over the place, but I have never, ever seen such an outrage of trying to put a 40-foot high milk bottle in front of what people saw as their front yard to Harbor Towers. At the end of the meeting, someone walks up to me, I can't remember who it was, and they said, "You know that the Children's Museum is opening a new museum, and they've got this old wool warehouse, which is kind of a big blank building that might work." So I said, "Okay, I've already gone down in flames twice on this project, but what the hell?" So I find out, I find out that Michael Spock is director of the Children's Museum. And I call on the phone and I say, "This is John Sloan, I'm director of design for the BRA. I'd like to speak to Director Spock." So she put me through to you. I introduced myself and I said, I've got something to tell you. It's serious, but it sounds a little absurd. I have a 40-foot high milk bottle that was a roadside ice cream stand that Hood is willing to restore to the tune of $25,000. And I was wondering if you'd like it in front of your museum. And I hear this, dead silence on the phone. Dead silence, Michael. And he said, "Can I call you back?" And I thought, oh my God, I don't know what he's going to do, a background check on me. I don't even know if they did background checks on this before. Very shortly after my phone call, you called me back and you say, "Well, do you have any photographs of this or anything that we can show people what this looks like?" And I said, "Michael, I have better than that. I have a model." And he said, "Do you think we could borrow the model?" And I said, "Absolutely. When do you need it?" And he said, "Well, how about today?" And I said, "Today?" He said, "Yeah, well, we have a board meeting tomorrow." And I said, "Okay." I said, "We will, whip up something, and we got this model to you. You had the board meeting. The board appeared to like this idea. And, you know, that's basically the story. Duncan loved the idea because obviously the Transportation Museum, which was at the wharf at the time, you know, this building was a roadside attraction, and, you know, it fit into that. So it was one of those serendipity things that just happened. And that was sort of an interesting thing, because it's anywhere along the way, if I had thought about it and really felt strongly that it should go in City Hall Plaza, or it should go in front of you know, the garage, that I would have struggled with this and pushed the limit, and you know, I would not have been successful, and I would have alienated all kinds of people. And it was just interesting that it ended up in front of the museum.
Well, the milk bottle came up the harbor on a barge with 2 fireboats, was brought in here, and there was a large contingent, and there was a giant crane that was rigged onto the top of the milk bottle with cables that went down into the structure. And the milk bottle was lifted up in the air off the barge. Now the tide's going out, which means the barge is dropping. The milk bottle is not dropping because it's hanging about a foot off the barge, at which point the crane operator went on strike, taking with him all of the people on the crane. Like, you know, there were 3 people on the crane. The milk bottle is swaying. The barge is dropping out from underneath it, you know, disappearing.
Oh,
the tide's going down. We have a 10-foot tide here. They'd come in at dead high. So within no time at all, the milk bottle is going to be hanging, swinging in the breeze, because the barge is going to be, you know, many feet below it. And this one of the immortals of South Boston is Jack Shaughnessy, who owns Shaughnessy Crane and Rigging, and he was here because he's a South Boston type. So he was here for the scene, to see his crane do the thing and get the milk bottle. So when the strike was pulled by his operators, he jumped into the crane after there was some horseplay that went on, but you know, somebody got the crane operator out of the crane and, you know, held him down over in the corner of the lot. And Shaughnessy got in and actually swung the milk bottle to this huge cheer, because everybody who knew what was going on was having fits. Those of us who didn't know what was going on wondered what was going on, because nothing was going on. So Shaughnessy swung the milk bottle over, and the contractor's man positioned it, and then Shaughnessy dropped it. And then he got out of the crane, shut the crane down, and left it there. The strike was ended the next day. I don't know what the crane operator got except a punch in the chops.
Well, it turned out that we had actually pickets from the drywall union picketing the museum at that point. There were a couple of them. And so the crane driver wouldn't cross the picket line. And I had no idea what to do about that. I don't remember who it was, but somebody from the construction operation sort of said, "Don't worry about it. Well, I'll take care of it." And so we sort of watched him walk over there and sort of talk to these 2 picketers, and sort of a little conversation, and they sort of huddled around, and then lo and behold, they sort of walked away. And of course, I and lots of other people were incredibly curious about you know, what was that transaction all about? What happened there? And it turned out, I remember him saying, "Well, it was lunchtime. I went over and I figured out they were pretty hungry. They should go and have a really nice lunch." And so he gave them money to go off and have a lunch. And that's how we got the milk bottle back onto the pad. And I didn't have to do anything about promoting the bottle coming. The story was just one of those incredibly sort of whimsical stories, and we got clips from all over the world